Hey, this is Paul, and today I'm going to talk about how I thin my branches. As you can see here, this is a no ID, similar to American Beauty. I call it Del Riego. 0 flower buds, but epic growth. It must have at least over 100 new branches in different states. So in a case like this, I'm going to use different strategies to thin out the branches here. But before we thin out this beast, let me go show you a younger plant and how I thin and use a different strategy for that plant. Okay, so what I want to do for this plant, I want to promote it to grow up and over the trellis as fast as possible. So first I have to clean my pruning shears. I use rubbing alcohol. And then I start at the bottom here, and I want to remove any growth that's at the base. So you can see these little branches forming. So I pull them off, and I go up and I'll just pluck these off. And this is a hybrid of mine. This is a Asunta 2 seedling. And so what I want to do is, I don't need this many branches, so I'm going to thin them out so all the energy can be channeled to these 3 up here. So that's what I'm going to do for this plant in this case. And again, just 3 branches, just like that. And so I'll monitor them. Also, I made sure that the tips are there intact, so they're going to grow to be nice, healthy branches. Now, I actually have 2 hybrids in here. Here's another one that is different. This is a Maria Fucsia seedling. So again, since it's a different plant, I'm going to clean my shears, and I'm going to prune these 2 off. Because this little cutting, I want it just to promote its growth up this one branch here, this nice soft branch that was the most developed of the 3. And so you just want to tie it up. Now what you have to do is be really careful when you're tying these young branches. They will rip easily. So you got to be really careful. You don't want to tie them too tight right away. But they are rather flexible, so they're forgiving. But don't rip them if you can avoid it. So something like that, and then in a couple weeks I'll tie it up again. So that's what I do with these branches and these younger cuttings or younger plants. You want to get them up and over the trellis as fast as possible. That's your goal, 1 stem. So now that we've done that on a younger one, let's go show you how to tame a beast, that 4-year-old plant. Let's go do it. Okay, so now I need to tame this beast. So again, I like to sanitize my tools. I don't want to cross-contaminate different plants. So I don't care about the same plant, but different plants. I try to not cross-contaminate. So in this case, I got to think about airflow and weight and so many other factors. So right off the bat, anything that's kind of 3 in a row, I like to prune them off to give them some more space to improve that airflow. So I like to usually go in between every other odd one. I'm also going to look for any that have damaged tips, because I want the branches to be really nice and straight. In this case, I don't see really any damaged tips, although something like this is just too much here. There's this one vertical, and then there's like 4 or 5 here, and that's just way too many. This is a spot where pests could hide. You don't want spots where the leaf-footed bugs can be, because those are really detrimental to dragon fruit plants. Now, branches that are just kind of going straight up into nowhere, that are going to break off in time, I want to get rid of those and promote growth to more spread out. And again, airflow, sunlight, those are things I'm thinking about, as well as weight distribution. So you can see where I am right here. I want to entice more branches to grow on this part of the trellis. You can see it's wide open here versus most of the plant is going this way. So I've moved some of the branches, and I'm now gonna, in this season, I want to train the branches to grow this direction. So things that are growing in that direction, I'm gonna kind of thin out, and that's my strategy for this plant this season here. So some of these I also want to just prune off completely. You can break them off too if they're younger, but it tends to work better if you use your pruning shears. But on this branch, I'm going to cut them all off, because I'd love to get a fruit somewhere here off one of these other nodes. So also, if I keep growing a branch out here, it's going to stretch out and it's going to break in time. So this branch is about as long as I want, and like this one is about as long as I want hanging down off the trellis. So in this case, these branches, I'm going to prune them off, and I'll prune off this whole row. So what I'm going to do is probably remove about 70 to 80% of these branches off to really promote that nice spread out canopy, improve airflow, and also promote it to flower, make some flower buds and some fruit this season. So let me get cutting. I'm going to get to work and I'm going to prune this off, and I'll show you what it's like when I'm done. Okay, so these are gonna go in the compost pile. You can see I have tons of fresh, young cuttings that I do not want. So, as you can see here, it looks like I've pruned them out. There's a few more that I probably could have pulled out and pruned off if I wanted to. But generally, I cut out a majority of them, and I think with a little bit of heat that this plant's gonna react with some flower buds. Now, you can see here's a younger branch here that I broke off the tip. So what I did here, and I'll show you quickly right here, Scott, can you see that? So if this was a cutting that I wanted to keep, what I like to do is I get it to the perfect length that I want, and then what I do is I just break off the tip like that. So I did that about a month ago on this one, you can see here. So I just broke off the tip, and what happens is the cutting just starts to mature. And so in this case, I want to take this cutting and root it. So it's a little on the young side, but this one is definitely going to root and it's going to do fine. So there it is, a nice young healthy cutting that I can now root. And I could repeat that if I wanted to on some more of these rather than prune them off like I did. But that's what I like to do. So I'll thin out the branches just like so on a plant this size, and maybe keep a few younger branches to share with friends or to propagate. And I expect that this is going to have a nice flush this season of flower buds as soon as we get our heat wave or around the summer solstice. So that's what I do to thin out some dragon fruit branches and some strategies. So I hope you learned something today. Give us a like and a subscribe. Thanks for watching. Have yourself a wonderful day. Take care.